Upon arriving in Texas, the American colonists confronted the realities of their great gamble. Texas was going to be hard. Turning a wilderness into productive acres would be tough. Life would be log cabins, dirt floors, new bugs, and unpredictable weather. Women would bear the brunt of this hardship. Colonists would have to live by their wits, and a full belly might require skill with a rifle. Hard currency was scarce. For most, life would be like the old days in the U.S., except starting completely over. Social life would also be challenging. Many of the American Tejanos lived in isolated farmsteads. A family would have to see to their own children's education or cooperate with neighbors to invite in a tutor. For those with means, there might be the option of sending them back to the U.S. to relatives or a boarding school. Information was spotty, and no newspapers lasted more than an issue or two. There was refuge in religion. The law required colonists to be Catholic, but that rule was hard to enforce. Methodists, Presbyterians, and Baptists were among the immigrants. They could play Catholic when needed, but as they labored on their homesteads, they hummed tunes from Protestant hymnals. Building community among the scattered people would also be difficult. While Nacogdoches quickly became Americanized, Stephen F. Austin founded San Felipe to serve as his capital. Travelers to those towns might share a meal and swap stories with fellow colonists, but most American colonists lived lonely lives. The towns of Bear and La Bahia, as well as the ranchos along the San Antonio River between the two, were the almost exclusive domain of the native Mexican Tejanos. Tamaulipas rancher Martin de Leon used the Empresario laws to settle 41 families on the banks of the lower Guadalupe. He named his village Victoria after the Mexican president, Guadalupe Victoria. The next closest Spanish-speaking settlements to this cluster of Tejanos lay along the Rio Grande, hundreds of miles away in Coahuila and Tamaulipas, formerly Nuevo Santander. Laredo was already as large as Bear. In Tejas proper, though, there were only about 2,500 Mexican Tejanos when the Americans started arriving by the thousands. Enslaved people also came to Texas. Austin granted an additional 50 acres per worker to families that used enslaved labor. Mexican law forbade the purchase or sale of humans as property, but was silent about the status of the enslaved when they arrived in Tejas, except when it came to their children. They would be free at age 14. By 1825, Austin's colony counted 1,347 American settlers and 443 enslaved laborers and free persons of color. Farms and cattle ranches began to sprout up along the banks of the Brazos and Colorado. Texas cotton began to float by barge down to the Gulf of Mexico to be loaded onto sloops and exported to the world. Mexico needed people in Texas for it to be productive and to help solve the national debt. People is exactly what Mexico got.